So I got some questions here, Rusty, and that's going to help because I can't remember everything I wanted to ask you. You know, it's you know how that goes.
No, it's okay.
Let's see here. Okay. So we already discussed the journey that you did with the cement plant. I didn't know about the roughhousing that you did out there in West Texas on the oil fields,
Yeah.
but and I guess we kind of
Roughnecking. Yeah, not roughhousing. I was a roughneck.
That's right. Yeah, that roughhousing was
I had lead tongs on an oil derrick. Yeah. And I was about 170 pounds, and I got slung around like a wet.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Oh my gosh! Well, that was a ass whipping.
Let me ask you this question. The haunted house, your haunted house, is known for its incredible success. What do you believe sets your haunted house apart from others?
Oh, I can tell you what does is it's a real house. Everything around here is not. I'll just give you, like, Six Flags has their Fright Fest, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's little things that they put up in Six Flags. You know.
Yeah.
They have another place. I'm not going to name names, but they have a place in Plano, and they call it a haunted house. Well, it's in an old academy, right in the middle of town, right off the highway, right with traffic everywhere, whatever. That's not a haunted house.
Yeah. And that one in Italy was in a big Quonset building too.
Yeah.
It wasn't a house.
Right. And that's really unusual. That's why I hated to see the Reindeer Manor thing over in Red Oak close. You know,
Yeah.
they were competition, yes, but the original guys there, Jim and Don Ivory, man, I cut my teeth with those guys, growing up and working with them and learning pyrotechnics and animations and special effects and things like that. And it was sad to see that place go. And they've actually opened up again, but they're not in Red Oak and they're not in the house. To me, that house was the embodiment of that haunt.
Yeah.
And now, I wish him the best of luck. The new owner, he's over in Waxahachie, and he's in a little building over by the the Railport Brewery?
Yeah.
He's got a little thing going on there, and I wish the guy the best of luck. We're
There's more
not
to
friends,
go
but
around.
we're acquaintances. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Because in this business, you got to think about it. People go haunted house hopping. They'll go to this one,
yeah.
into this one, into this one.
Because you're not, and I understand that, because if they go to yours on the first weekend, now you're not going to change anything in that haunted house that season,
Right.
for that whole month, so they can go to another haunted house
Sure.
that's different.
And that's one of the biggest questions you'll get. You can ask the girls at the ticket booth. People will say they'll come through and they're running and they're falling on the ground, they're screaming and they're laughing. They get in, they come up with the first question, right? Well, usually they say two things. That was wonderful. We loved it. That was great. Is there another haunted house around here somewhere we could go to?
Yeah.
And that's why you stay in Grace, because I'll tell people, like this year, I'll tell people, hey, Alex over, he's reopened the place over in Waxahachie. Go over and check him out, right?
Yeah, and he should be doing the same, I would think.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this year's haunted house theme is rumored to be something special. Can you give us any hints or details about what visitors can expect?
Well, this year we try to change one major thing every year. We have so much out there; it would just be impossible to change everything. Right?
I totally understand.
So we do some little tweaking and changes here and there. But last year, in the middle of the season, I took my youngest son and my daughter Taylor, and my granddaughter Bexley, and my daughter Peyton. We all loaded up and we just hopped on a plane. Like we literally closed the haunted house down on a Saturday night, and we went home for about 2.5 hours, and just brushed our teeth and took a shower and changed clothes, and we went to the airport. And we flew to California,
Mm-hmm.
and we went out to Disney and we did the haunted mansion out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I'd never been. I'm
Really?
58 years old. It was on my bucket list.
Yeah.
And so I was like, by God, I'm going to go.
It's pretty awesome.
Oh, it was fantastic. But I think the incredible thing was we did that, but we also went over to Universal Studios.
Yep.
And when we went over there, that place to me was better than Disney. I mean,
Really?
If you took the Haunted Mansion and just set it over in Universal Studios, you wouldn't need Disney. That's my opinion. But so they had this ride there called the Mummy, and on the Mummy ride, it's this roller coaster thing, but it's supposed to be in this Egyptian tomb thing or whatever. And my son, he was just like, we come out, he's like, Dad, I want to do a mummy room. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, we don't have any room. Like, we don't have a room to do a mummy room. So we went in and we did some moving around, and we took a scene that had been there in the haunted house for 14 years. And we said, well, it's time. So we took it out and we did this mummy thing. And then Dayton went in there and made all these animated mummies and all this stuff. And we did all the hieroglyphics and everything all over the walls. And, so that's the cool thing. That's the newest thing this year, and I'm really proud of that room. Not just because of kind of how it became, over a family, a spare the moment family vacation thing. But
inspired your son.
That's the spontaneous kind of stuff that we do, and then that's Dayton's just, man. I can't emphasize enough about that kid and his talent.
That's your youngest son.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Beyond the scares and screams, your haunted house has a reputation for its charitable giving. How do you choose the recipient of the profits each year?
Whew.
Now, any of these questions are uncomfortable?
No. Well, so this year we haven't chosen anybody yet. We've got some really, really good. I asked this year, does anybody know of anybody? And I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably going to be one of the toughest decisions I'll ever make this year. Is because I've got a lot of things to choose from, right? We just normally, people will tell us or I'll ask, and we usually just kind of lay those. Usually we have a couple, 3 choices, and we'll put out, in front of us, and we'll choose somebody. And that's what we'll do again this year. But it's going to be tough. We just pick somebody. I mean, we pick somebody in the community, and one of the things I did, I guess, 2 years ago, year before last. My buddy Tim Bass has helped me in the haunted house business forever. He was a funeral director, so he always had the connections. That's how I got my hearses to drive. That's how, when you go in the haunted house and you go into the laboratory and you see all this equipment, a lot of that's real embalming equipment and equipment that's been used. But because of Tim. And but anyway, he and I got diagnosed with cancer at the same time. And I made it. And unfortunately, Tim didn't make it. And we knew he wasn't going to make it. And I told everybody, I said, I'm gonna sponsor him this year, and he was adamant. Like, he was like, no, Manor, no, we're not gonna do that. And I was like, no, I want to do it. What do you want? I said, do you want a car? I'll buy you a car. Do you need money? Do you need what do you need? And he said, you know what I really want? And he said, I want a nice vacation. I want to go. I'd really like to go to the Caribbean, and I would like to spend a week with my son before I die. And I said, I can make that happen. So I called his ex-wife, and Shannon, and she said, can we do something stateside? She said, I mean, I don't want him to take our son off far and something to happen. She says, you do realize how sick he is? And I said, I know, I get it. I said, but I want to do what he wants. And she said, well, let me talk to him. Yeah. And Shannon said, can we do it stateside? Because, just in case something happens to him. And I said, oh, I get it. So it was a weird deal what had happened because I had bought some masks and some high quality masks. There were some silicone masks from a guy.
Who's scary mask? Like,
Yeah, the
yeah,
Halloween
yeah.
mask.
Okay, gotcha.
That I had bought. These are masks that are several $100s a piece. Some of them $1,000. Really good quality stuff. And I didn't know the guy. I just bought them from him online. And come to find out, I started talking to him, and come to find out, he owns the Miramar. He's I don't know, the CEO or the manager. I don't know what he of this Miramar Beach Resort in Miramar Beach, California. Florida.
Oh, okay.
And he said, "Hey, look, if you want your buddy to, if you want to send him somewhere, send him over here. I'll take care of him. I'd like to donate my hotel for him and his girlfriend and his son to stay." And I was like, "Really?" I mean, he didn't even know me. He's like, "No, but dude," he said, "I kind of creeped on you online. I see all the stuff that you do. It's amazing. I want to be a part of that. I want to say that I helped you." And I said, "Well, okay, I guess we're friends now." He said, "Sure." So he donated a week's stay and with a suite, like with a kitchen and everything there in Florida, and we bought airline tickets, first class round trip airline tickets for all of them to go down and back. I gave them some spending money, and we set up a dolphin thing, and then a pirate cruise thing, on the ocean, and a fishing trip.
Wow.
For them to do, and he got to do it, and unfortunately, on the way back, I picked him up from the airport, and Tim just slumped and slept in the back seat of my truck.
He was just exhausted and
he
sick.
was wore out, and bless his heart, he didn't make it. We knew he wasn't going to, but just a bad deal.
I think that's awesome, man. What you guys
we give to Manor House every year.
Yeah.
And we do money, we do food, we do money and food, whatever. A lot of times we'll call and ask them if they need things, and then we've done other things. I couldn't even go through the names of the different people and stuff that we've helped. We've helped kids with illnesses and adults and just people that we just try to help. I wanted to do it initially for a cancer thing, but I just there's lots of things that come up with that people need help.
Yeah.
So we have a tough decision to make this year. That's my answer, and we got to figure out who we're
I don't know. I don't envy you at all, man.
I know.
But I know you're a good man, and I know God will put His hand on you, and you'll make a decision, and it'll just it'll work out. I mean. That's all.
Delivered me from cancer.
That's right. Hey, and me from cancer too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and you and I have talked about this. I think you don't start living until there's a possibility of you dying.
Your whole perception of life
It
changes.
does. Yeah.
Changes. Sitting down with your children and telling them.
Oh my God, I know.
Watching their reaction when they know that there's a possibility that you may not be here any longer. That's tough. It's tough.
It is tough. It is tough. And the older you get, you have all these kids, that just love you, and you love your parents to death, and you know how they love their parents to death, and just like us, we don't want to deal with loss of our own parents. They don't want to deal with loss of theirs. I lost my mother when I was 42.
Yeah.
42 or 43. And that's too young.
It is.
It's too young for a man, especially a man, to lose his mom. So I can only imagine, because your girls, my girls, they're daddy's girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now I will back up. I will kind of tell you on this thing with the kids and all that. So Tim's son works for me at the haunted house.
Good.
And I had went to see Tim. I was there when he passed away. I was at the facility where he died. And but about 2 weeks before that, he was hospitalized, and he never called me Rusty. He just called me Manor. And he said, "Manor, I'm I want you to do me a favor. He said, I know I'm not going to make it. And I said, oh, bullshit.
Yeah.
You're gonna make it. No, I'm not. He goes, I want you to do me a favor. Take care of my son. Take care of my son for me. And I said, oh, I said, don't be talking like that. No, I want you to take care of him. Just do the, the normal shit. What I'm talking about. Like, make sure he's okay. Make sure he doesn't do stupid stuff, and make sure help him. Make sure he gets a car. Now that, in my mind, that stuck in my mind, right? So I called Shannon the other day, and I told her, I said, we're gonna help get. That is one thing I am gonna do this year. We're gonna help get Zach a car. And I said, his dad's not here, so I'm gonna help. And his grandparents, they called me the other day, and they were like, we heard what you're gonna do. We want to help, so we're gonna pitch in too. So one of the things that I'm gonna do this year is make sure that a young man that doesn't have his dad anymore is gonna have a car to drive to high school.
Ooh, man, that's pretty emotional there, brother. You're a good man. You're a good man. Let me move to a different question.
Okay.
God damn.
I'm sorry.
Oh, man. I think I've become a 12-year-old schoolgirl emotionally since, because, I had cancer and I beat that, and you beat it. And then I had a heart attack, and it was a widowmaker.
Yep.
I didn't even lose consciousness, but man, God damn, it was painful.
Yeah.
It was the most painful thing I ever had in my life, But it gives me a whole different outlook on me being me versus me being loving to everybody, know. And it's, damn, I don't know. Maybe I turned into a girl. I don't know.
Well, and I'll tell you one of the most important things that I have learned from running a haunted house and doing this for. I've been doing it since I think 38 years, since 1987. I don't know. You can do the math. It may be less. It may be more than that. I don't know. Yeah. But right after that thing happened and Tim passed away, man, I was just so distraught. I hated losing that dude so bad. He was not just a coworker with the haunt industry with me, but a friend. But a couple of days after that, I was up here at Brookshire's at the grocery store, and this girl come up to me, and she just grabbed a hold of me and hugged me. And, hey, do you remember me? And I'm like, no, I really don't. Well, I'm so and so. Remember I worked for you. Back in 1993. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And I'm like, I'm sure you don't look anything like you did back then. And she said, I just want to let you know that working for you when I was a kid was some of the best years of my life.
Wow.
And you don't realize what an impact you have,
right,
on some of those kids. So I try to maintain a good attitude, and I know that
they're watching you, man. Yeah. I'm the same way, and I used to tell everybody that worked with me that we all leave a legacy. It's just you can't keep from leaving a legacy, but you got to choose what that legacy is going to be.
Right.
Because you can be an asshole, and that's the legacy you're going to leave.
Right.
So choose to be a good human. That's also the legacy that people will remember you for. We're only maybe I've discussed this before. I can't remember, but I've heard that you're only 2 generations away from being forgotten.
Yeah.
Once you pass away, your grandkids don't spend a lot of time with you. Maybe when they were real super young they do, but then they get friends, and then they grow up, and then they get jobs, and then they get their own family. They really don't have a connection with you other than they know it's Papa or Grandpa. Me, I'm Papa. But their kids are not going to know you or not remember you.
Right.
And you're just going to be, for me, I'm going to be cremated. Or you could just be a stone, just moss growing on a stone. No one's going to remember you unless you leave a legacy. And this is what you're doing, is you're leaving a legacy of goodness to these people. Tim Bass, the son, now will remember you. All your daughters, everybody that you've reached out and helped will remember you.
Someone reached out to me and said they had somebody that, for me to consider for a recipient. I knew the individual. She's a local Midlothian person. To me, she's one of those people that she's also a pillar, in my opinion, of the community. She's been here a long time and things. anyway, so I just reached out to her and I said, can we help? And she said, yes, sure. And so we just went about I call it our rat stomping. We just did our normal thing. Well, I mean, it was like a day afterwards, and the lady that had suggested her as a recipient calls me and says, "Hey, don't forget," And I was like, "Oh, well, I won't." Well, then a couple of days later, she sends me another text. "Hey, don't forget," And I'm like, "Okay, quit sweating me. I won't forget. I'm getting old, but I'm not that old. I don't forget," And then like the next day, she's like, "Hey, and I'm like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" And I told my wife, I said, "I can't believe the nerve, like I'm giving them money. I'm just giving them money. I don't understand why she's sweating me. I just don't understand, I was like, I haven't done all the numbers yet. I haven't got everything. I don't even know what I can give. I don't know what I can do. I've still got payroll out and stuff." And my wife said, "Calm down. Take a deep breath." She said, "This is not a big issue, okay?" She said, "Everything happens for a reason. Something's going on here. We don't know what, okay?" And I said, "I think I know, And she said, "Get your checkbook and just call her right now. And call the lady and go over to her house and just write her a check." And she's like, "I'll go with you." And I was like, "Okay." So we called her and we went over and we brought the check. And I just folded the check up and I came out and I gave her a hug and I handed her the check, and I didn't want her to open the check. I had it folded for a reason. I just wanted her to take it. She opened it and it was dark outside, and she looked at it, and then she just started crying, And she said, "Oh my gosh, you just don't understand what you did for me." She was like, my electricity was turned off last week, and now I have to have X amount of money again by the end of this week, or it's gonna be turned off again, and my water bill's due. And you want to talk about feeling like an absolute heel. Like, I felt so much shame. I was like, it was like God slapping me in the back of the head, going down there, "Now, do you still feel that way, buddy? There's a reason somebody, that was my hand pushing you. You need to take care of this. This is a priority," right?
Yeah.
That lady wasn't calling me. That was God.
Yeah.
Telling me, you need to make this happen. There's an urgency here, and you need to make it happen. But you talk about how good the community is. About a week or so later, I seen her post something, and she made a comment that I helped with her. She was trying to see where the cancer was, and she was stage 4, how bad it was, and how everything had it gotten worse, had stayed the same. She didn't know. Either she didn't have insurance, or insurance wouldn't cover the CAT scan or the MRI that she needed. And so she made comment that I paid for that. And so I reached out to her and I said, "I thought I paid for some utilities." And she said, "You know what?" She said, "That next morning somebody had paid my electric bill."
Oh my God.
"And helped me with my other bills, and I was able to take the money that you gave me to get the MRI done." And I'm proud to report that she had made a post the other day that she went from being stage 4, and I still remember hugging her that night. I mean, literally, it was like hugging this mic. She was this big around. She was just skin and bones. She's cancer free.
Wow.
What a blessing that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And you left a legacy with her.
But we learned things, and what I learned is I'm never gonna judge again. The next time somebody acts like that, I'm just gonna
Well, Rusty,
it's a sign from God, and you need to act on it.
Yeah,
Right?
and I know you, and I know you. It wasn't a thing that you were judging somebody. I know you were tired, and you just came off a month of worrying about, are we even going to have a business, and then once you just wanted to catch your breath. That's all you wanted to do.
Right.
But we lose sight of these people that their next breath might be all they have if they don't get somebody to reach out a hand to them and hold them,
Right.
And so I get it, but I don't. I know there's not a mean bone in your body.
Well, and I want to brag on my wife a little bit. I want to back up a little bit on that. Something that happened. Was it last year, year before last too? So my high school girlfriend got really sick, and I didn't know it. You know, I hadn't really been in contact with her or anything. But her sister called me, and I'm getting back to this about how good my wife is. I just got to brag on her. I probably don't brag on her enough, but she reached out and she told me. She said, "Hey," she said, "You remember me, right?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I remember you." And she goes, "You remember you used to date my sister?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, you know my sister's dying, right?"
Wow.
And I'm like, "No, I didn't know that." She's like, "She's on hospice, and she wants to tell you goodbye. And I just wondered if I could put you on the phone with her and let you tell her goodbye because she wants to hear you tell her goodbye." And I was like, "Oh, wow." You talk about a flood of emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I said, I said, I can do better than that. I said, I mean, where are you at? Where's she at? She told me, and I said, I'll come see her. So I went home that evening, and I told my wife, I said, I know this is going to sound weird to you. Please don't take this the wrong way, but my old high school girlfriend is dying, and she's on hospice. And her sister called and asked if I could say goodbye to her on the phone, and I told her that I would go and tell her goodbye in person. Are you okay with that? And my wife said, I absolutely am okay with that. She said, I think that's wonderful that you would do that. So I get over there, and when I get there, there's 2 hospice beds in the room, and she's in one, and her mother's in the other.
Oh my God.
And her dad is in there sitting on the couch, this hollow figure.
Distraught.
And her, and it's really, now I got to go in, and she's so bad she can't even talk, but when I go in, just the emotions, and she's crying, and I'm crying. And so I was like, I just told her sister when I left, I was like, is there anything I could do? She's like, no, I think you did enough, whatever. Well, I thought, well, I'm gonna send some money to them. So I went to the bank and had a check made out, and I called her sister and I said, I have something for you. I want you to bring this to your dad. And so I won't say the amount or whatever, but I wrote him a check and I gave him the check. And her dad called me back and said, well, actually, she called me and she said, I'm here with my dad. My dad wants to talk to you. And he said, you don't know what you've done for us. He said, we do not have the money. And he said, she was on disability, and we had just got a check. I don't know how that works for her.
I don't either.
Well, then when you die, you have to give it back. You know that, right? You know how that works, right? Like if you get a payment for that month,
and you pass away during that month, you have to give back the pay. Wow.
Yeah, you have to give back a percentage. So they had to give the money back. So he said, you doing that gave us the money back that we were counting on. He said, so if it weren't for you, and that's why I just
it's God, man.
Yeah. And then my wife too. My wife was totally good with that. I don't think a lot of women maybe would have been. But my wife was good.
She Wintress is who everybody is his wife, and she is just top notch, man. She just always has a smile, and I used to hug her every night that I went out there that haunted house, and it was just the warmest thing. You're a lucky man.
She's tough.
She's tough.
She's tough, but she's changed my life.
Yeah.
And she's always been supportive of whatever I do. And then a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people might think that's odd or that's strange or unusual.
We don't care what other people think.
But well, I don't care either. But I did care what she thought. And
absolutely.
And so I say I want to brag on her because I don't think a lot of women would have been that receptive to what I wanted to do. But she was completely understanding,
right.
And she was okay with my decision to do that.
The last thing I got for you.
All right.
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So So
Come Christmas, I'm Saint Nicholas. Yes, I am.
So you're the it out there at the haunted house in October, but come Christmas season.
My wife always said, "I wish you loved Christmas, like you love Halloween," because my wife just loves Christmas. So I bought this little cheap $200 or $300 Santa costume, and I bought a glue-on beard the first year. I wasn't going to just wear one of the cheap ones. I did go get a prosthetic. I don't know. I think I gave like $300 for that beard. And I glued it on my face, and it looked really good. But it like chapped my face and made my face raw, and you had to scrub your face for 30 minutes to get the glue off your face and everything. And then I just decided I would grow one, and that's become a cool thing too. I don't know.
Was she all right with you growing a beard out too?
She doesn't really like the beard. She liked the glue on one a little bit better. But I am fixing to go. I have to get it colored. My real beard color is like this.
Yeah.
And my hair color too. But I have a wonderful hairdresser in Arlington named Arden McDaniel, and she does my hair. She bleaches it out. In fact, I'm going next week because I am Santa at Bass Pro Shop. I signed a contract with them. And every Saturday and Sunday in the month of November and December at the Fort Worth Bass Pro Shop Cabela's, I am the man.
Saturday and Sunday for the whole month
the whole month of November and the whole month of December. So
is that the one up there going up just north of Fort Worth?
Yeah.
On 35?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll be Santa then, and but I've got to do a lot of things around here. Rodney Rankin.
Yeah.
I do Santa and Becky. I do Santa for their kids, and
Rodney's good people.
Oh man, and they interesting thing. I want to brag on them too. I love these kind of Santa visits because they wanted me to come to the house, and they wanted me to explain to their grandson, which is Rex. They named him after.
Oh, that's awesome! Off his daddy.
Yeah, they wanted me to explain to him that Christmas was about Jesus, not about presents and gifts and Santa. And so I really studied, and I made some notes and what I was going to say. And they're filming this. And while they're filming this, Becky's just over in the corner. She's just bawling and crying, And
how'd you hold it back?
Oh, it was tough. It was tough. But I was trying to stay focused on Rex. But it wasn't too hard because he was so excited,
Yeah.
And it was so funny because one of the things being Santa is one of the things I've always been worried about is how they see you show up or leave.
Yeah.
Well, this little fart, if you don't know Rex, he's a firecracker, He was all over the place, Well, he had already seen I was trying to hide my vehicle, But he had already seen what I showed up in, and he said, "Well, how come you don't have a sleigh? How come you're in a truck?" And I said, in my voice, I said, well, Rex, I said, I fly a sleigh around big cities and things like that. But when I'm in the country like this, it's much easier to get around in a pickup truck.
And he bought it.
I said, like your dad, like your grandfather, right? And he's like, yeah. He goes, and I know you're the real Santa. You know why I know? And I said, why is that, Rex? He said, because you drive a Raptor.
How old is this boy?
That's right, Rex. He's like 4.
That's awesome.
5, something like that, Good times with those kids, man.
And well, you're a good man, Rusty. Yeah, and Rex was a good man.
Yeah.
Rodney's a good man.
Yeah.
Becky, we go back.
People I grew up with my whole life.
See, and I didn't. I was stationed here with the Marine Corps. That's how I found this place. And but I've called it home since '87, and I'm not leaving. You know, I'm not going to Lufkin.
You chased us around a little bit when we were young.
Yeah, not too much. You
weren't too bad.
Nah, I think with me being a police officer, I was a police officer later in life. I didn't have anything to prove. I was a Marine for 21 years. I don't have to prove anything after that.
Absolutely. You're right. You don't.
So
you have nothing else to prove.
Yeah, and that's how I conducted myself with everybody that I came in contact with. Is with as much respect as they would allow me to get. Obviously I'm not an angel. You could piss me off, and I would probably be harder. But for the most part, man, it was I never had anybody bow up on me for 27 years.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why is because I treated them with respect.
Well, that's what I was saying. You were always respected, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
I was lucky.
Yep.
You know, the people in this community have always kind of, just respected me, and vice
do.
versa.
Yeah.
They still do.
Still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thanks, brother, for coming in here. I'll get this thing edited out